Welcome to Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Meg Heaton, and today I'm talking with Sarah Bruch, a two-term member of the Hudson Common Council, who is running for another term to represent District 5. Thank you for talking with us, Sarah, and for your continued service to the community.
Thank you.
I know that when you initially ran for office, you identified 3 key policy areas: people, the planet, and the economy. Are you still front and center? Are these still front and center for you, and how have they impacted your work on the council over these last 2 terms?
Yes, they are front and center. I have not wavered from that. I will not waver from that because they're also incredibly intertwined. When we make sure we do right by people, we do right by the planet, the economy comes along too. And each one of those factor together. And so when a vote comes forward and I see what's on the agenda, those are the things I ask myself. How's it going to impact the people in my district and the people in our community? And really, you know, things don't just impact your community, how it's going to trickle through the state and those types of things as well. Absolutely, people can count on that with me.
That's great. In the years that you've been on the council, 2 things. What do you look at as the most significant change or improvement that you've seen in how the city operates on behalf of the citizens? And what do you see as the biggest challenge they continue to face?
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone who has sat in this seat has talked about funding. You know, it just is really tough. Funding is super tight. We're very mindful of protecting the taxpayers. We know that the city does a fantastic job of holding those taxes down. Right now, I think it's roughly on every dollar a citizen pays for their taxes, roughly 27 cents of that goes to the city. So we do a powerful lot,
Yeah, that's a lot.
on that little of resources.
Quarter, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And the rest of the property taxes are split between the school and the county and then the community colleges, or the community college, sorry. And so I think really given with what we have, we do good. We do great work. We have an incredible set of staff, very committed, very mindful, and trying to balance, you know, as you might imagine, there's a lot of different perspectives on the council. Some that are like, don't spend, and some that are like, come on, you have to spend money to have a nice community. And so finding that sweet spot where they're respectful and make things happen, they're great. So that was the first, what are the biggest challenges? I led with the hardest part first. But was the second part, what am I most proud that's happened? Or
A significant improvement you've seen in your time.
The thing that, there's a few that I think are really noteworthy. We have increased our infrastructure spending as it relates to roads. When I first started, we were at about $1.5 million a year for roads for our city.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nothing, right?
No.
It's impossible to keep your roads looking good at that. We bumped it up to where we're at 2.5 million. We're gonna need to talk because we're gonna need to do better. And we have some roads that are in tough spots. And we also have bridges. The Hagen Street Bridge has been an issue for a long time. And that is gonna continue to be an issue. So we've made progress, we need to do more. I'm also excited that we're in the process of transitioning our police vehicles to hybrids. So as new ones are being bought, we've switched to hybrids. That's something I really brought to the forefront, and I continue to bring that to the forefront. We've purchased our first Public Works hybrid truck. There's just certain vehicles that make such sense. You know, they're running, they're less costly to maintain, way less fuel usage, better for the environment. It's like a no-brainer. And the really exciting thing is that our officers that use these vehicles, they love them. And they say the speed from 0 to 60 is so much faster. And so it's really a good message that it's more efficient for our officers. They're pleased with it, and it saves the community a lot of money. So I'm happy about that. I'm also thrilled. When I first started on council, there was just a tone that wasn't always very nice. And it was super disappointing. And really through some commitment with everybody on council. It's not like it's one person that's driven it, but it's a real mindfulness of how we treat each other. And when, you know, the community looks to us to set a tone, and we have a responsibility to do that. And so it brings me a lot of happiness that we've made that kind of progress and that we're all super mindful about being respectful even when we disagree and figuring out a pathway forward.
Oh, that's good to know, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what specific issues do you see? Well, we've talked about for your specific district. Are there issues? I know that we can talk a little bit about the Locust Street Improvement Project, how you're preparing businesses for that, because obviously there's a very vital business community along Locust Street, and then a thriving neighborhood as well. And so how you're looking forward to that, and any other issues in District 5?
Yeah. So first with Locust Street, we have just signed an agreement with an engagement firm that will come in, involve residents, business owners. I'm going to be part of that. That will really talk about the redesign. So we're really working hard to get that input from the people that are directly impacted by that, the redevelopment there. So that should get started, I believe, this summer. So again, it will involve key community members that are impacted and businesses. So that will be very exciting.
And the scope of that goes from what part of Locust Street to?
It goes from First to Third.
To Third, okay. So
Yeah.
the whole big district
That whole big area.
Okay,
So yeah.
okay.
And then the other thing that seems to impact the downtown district a little bit more than the other parts of our city, although they too have it, are short-term rentals. And we're approaching summer, and we're being mindful about making sure that we're protecting those business owners, that they have opportunities, you know, to grow a business, but that we're being mindful as well to our residents that are tax-paying citizens that live there 12 months out of the year, that we strike a good balance. And we really haven't quite gotten there yet, but there will be a time for public engagement so that neighbors can come in and talk about it, and the people that own the short-term rentals, they too can be part of the process. I just think the more people you have engaged, the better things go.
And when you talk about short-term rentals, are you talking about like what people know as Airbnbs, that kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, because and that's the interesting thing about your district too, the downtown district, is that you have those issues, you have the shopping, it's what draws people in, but it's also the historic district, so we have to protect all those things. So it makes it kind of a different bag than something on the hill maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And why that engagement piece is so crucial.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And over the 27 years that I spent as a reporter for the Star Observer, the city of Hudson and the surrounding municipalities experienced some of the most significant growth in both population and in business across the state. We were always number one in that. Can you tell us where that growth stands right now for the city and what challenges that presents for the council?
Yeah. Just so you know, I moved here about 32 years ago, and when I moved here, there was a Kmart. That's how long I lived here. So
the big boxes were Kmart and Fleet Farm.
Yes, exactly. So I do think we have some challenges, and we're going to have to think about annexation, and there's very limited opportunities with that. But it's also going to cause us to have to think about redevelopment. As existing spots become available, what can we do? How can we be out-of-the-box thinkers? Can we look to other cities, what they're doing? How have they successfully managed that? And implement some of those things that we're seeing. So, and taking feedback from our community, what do they want? Looking at that comprehensive plan where they talk about smart growth, that they want a more sustainable approach, bringing those things into the decision-making process.
Because I've heard that Hudson does have a kind of a difficult reputation sometimes for development and stuff, right?
Well, and you know what? I think
developers.
Right.
Not
I think it's important on how we balance that, right? Because on council we do our biggest responsibility in my mind are to our tax-paying citizens. They're the ones, that put us there. They're the ones that are funding this key stuff that is happening in our city. And it is also important that we work with our developers and make sure that they are doing what they can to help us with our infrastructure needs, making sure that they're adding sidewalks to the area where they're developing, or, if we need a stoplight there, those types of things. And I would like to see us even go a little bit further and put in some requirements about a percentage being geared towards workforce housing. We have a real need for our folks that are, kind of the heart and soul, the worker bees on the ground, making sure that they can live in the community that they support.
Yeah. Okay. Is all growth good for Hudson?
I think anytime you say all or none, those are not good words. I think smart growth is really important, and a very thoughtful strategic plan on what it's going to look like. And our comprehensive does give us some framework around that. I'm excited to see the city participated in a housing study with the St. Croix Economic Development Association. And so we should have those findings, I believe, sometime this summer, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to be excited to see what their thoughts are on it too, and be important to see what we can do to help support that.
Is the city, are we growing, continuing to grow?
Well, I think we're not growing in the way of families. It's an expensive community to live in. And I think that's why we're seeing declining enrollment in our schools. And, some people are okay with that. And some are like, this should be a community that is open and for families, where people can live here. And I think that's what I want to see. I want to see a thriving community. And I also want to be respectful to the citizens that have lived here, for 30 years, and making sure that it's 40, their entire life, that it's affordable for seniors too.
And, particularly, again, in your district with Willow River School, there's some elements that have characterized that district.
Right.
And yet it has to be challenged if the enrollments are going down and the district is facing these kind of challenges. Does the city get involved with any of that?
We have Councilmember Joy Knutson is the liaison with the school district. So I think she attends meetings and is their point person. But I do know the mayor has conversations with the superintendent. I certainly would like to explore something about housing options with our school district. Are there things we can do? I know other communities have done that, where cities and school districts have partnered together. So I think there's opportunity out there. And I'm really hopeful that we'll be able to make some traction on that.
Excuse me, you mentioned that the tone or the tenor on the council has improved since when you first came, but politics from the top down have become a completely different animal than what we knew as we were in our younger days.
Right.
But over the past decade and over the time that you've spent on the council, we know the council offices are nonpartisan, but has the shift in the political climate had an impact on how the council conducts itself or how it gets its work done?
I think it has in the past. I'm really hopeful as things are escalating in our country and frankly internationally as well. I'm hopeful that that doesn't come to our council. I have faith in us. We have weathered some really hard conversations, and I think we're going to be okay. And I think what will be interesting is, how the community responds to things. Sometimes that escalates it a little bit. So I'm hopeful that we can keep that nice tone that we have going while encouraging people to come and share their opinions. Just always with that following the initiative that our mayor started of the Golden Rule, you know.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully we can keep that moving forward.
Yeah, it's kind of an improvement on the Tree City. I like the idea of the Golden Rule as
Right,
well.
right.
Can you give people, I don't think, you know, for one thing, I think anyone taking on public service at this point and going, not only just working in the public sector, but running for an office takes a lot of time and, you know, you have a family and whatever. Why did you want to do this to begin with?
You know what, Meg? I have not been asked that in a long time, but I think every one of us that serves on that council, or every one of us that serves in some kind of public office, we love our community. And we want to make sure that it stays a great community for other people. And we want to use our voices to advocate for those things and for the folks that we serve. And so what motivates me is really talking to the residents when they need help with something and helping them navigate that and being their voice. And it is way more rewarding than I ever would have guessed. Now, there are days that it's hard. There are days that are hard. And people care about these topics really, whatever might be important to them. You know, for some person it's, I don't want the snow plowed at that time. For another person, it's I want my alley paved. For another person, my garbage didn't get picked up. But those are all things that really impact their daily lives. And if I can do a little something to make their daily life better, okay, that feels pretty good.
That's a good answer, and I think it speaks to also to, you know, the importance of local leadership, local government is responsive to people.
Yeah.
You know, we can listen to the talking heads and the squawking heads all we want, but it's people like that, you guys doing your job, that keep our cars out of the potholes most of the time.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, it's the impact that you make by talking to people about the things that they really matter to them. You know?
Absolutely.
So anyway, looking ahead, is there anything particular that you want to see that hasn't been addressed yet that you think the council's on the verge of doing?
So I think I've mentioned a few things. I believe the infrastructure is, and I say the infrastructure a lot because in part I serve on our Public Works Committee, and so that's the one that I am most versed on. That being said, it is super pivotal to a vibrant community. So we're going to have to think about funding on that. I'm really excited for the new police department, their station, and for the Public Works home. Our employees have been working in less than great conditions. And you know what? Everybody deserves to work in a place that's safe, where they feel valued, and I think we have a responsibility as their employers to make sure that happens. Happy employees, happy work, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that will be important to see that to fruition. Figuring out the library, what's next for it, that's a big thing for our community as well. And I think we're going to have to be mindful on public safety. I mean, it is just kind of a changing pulse, and making sure that our residents are safe, our tourists that come here are safe. You know, it's a lot of different little plates that you're keeping spinning all the time. So,
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any?
Yes, our water.
Oh, no, our water, please. Yes.
Our water, that's going to be really crucial too, protecting our river. We're going to be looking at some of our connections and making sure that they're safe for residents, safe for some of the commercial spaces. So, you know, there's really a lot that goes into running a city.
Well, and the infrastructure, especially down in your district, is older.
Yes.
You know, by far, and I remember coming over to the feed mill with my dad every Saturday. You know.
Really?
Oh yeah, there was a water fountain across from Wally's place that had all this great green moss, and we played. It was for horses. It was there for the horses.
Wow.
It was huge. But anyway, yeah.
I didn't mean like, wow.
Yes, I'm that old. Sarah. But anyway, that's the unique thing about downtown Hudson is that, you know, there there's so much history there.
There is,
And
yeah.
in the pipes alone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that,
is there anything I haven't asked you about that you want to say or that you want to direct to your constituents?
well, I certainly hope that people get out and vote on April 1. In addition to local things, there's state items that are on there as well. And, you know, it still is one of the best ways to make a difference in the world, to vote. Whether we agree on issues or not, gosh darn it, use your voice, vote. And then the other thing that I think it's important to just pause on, all the tremendous things that happen in our community, from the nonprofits doing amazing work, from our schools educating people, to our fire department, to our police, to all of our city employees. It just doesn't ever rest. It always is working. And while it's an imperfect world, they do their very best. And I'm grateful for each of them, and I hope that our community will put that all in their mind frame too. And next time they see somebody out there, whether it's somebody plowing or picking up garbage, make sure you take a moment to thank them for keeping Hudson amazing.
Well, thank you for your part in that as well. And good luck in the election. I guess you don't need it. You got it.
I am unopposed this time, but that doesn't mean I still would like people to vote for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I thank you to the River Channel for, again, providing this opportunity to the public to learn about our candidates and our public servants. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.